Morning, everybody. We're going to continue our Christian Lifestyles and Finances class. Only got 2 classes left. We've got Teaching Our Children About Money Today, a concept I've had to endure. I'm in the thick of things now with the 4 kiddos, and so we've definitely done some things poorly and learned from them, and I think we're doing some things right now and getting them in the right direction. So excited to share some of our wins and losses with you. I'm looking forward to hearing some of yours as well. And if you don't have children, we're going to talk about that. It doesn't mean that this class isn't for you, because it takes a village. So what about our grandchildren? What about our neighbor down the street, kids in service, etc.? So how can we can help out there? But before we get too much into it, a couple opening questions. What was one money lesson you vividly remember as a child or adolescent? And what would be one money lesson you wish you learned as a child, adolescent? Hopefully you guys are willing to talk, because we don't have everybody here yet, I don't think. So hopefully the ones that are here are ready to dive in. What do you guys think? What's a money lesson you remember?
When I was a kid, we had allowances. We were fortunate enough to have that.
Yeah.
But before we got our share of the money, our parents would break down where everything else went. So we'd start with like $20, and then we'd have $2 go to God, right, 10%, and then $5 to college fund, and then $5 to whatever else, and then we'd end up with $10 at the end of it. But they'd break down what we were budgeting for.
So you had some categories already as a kid.
Exactly.
Like we talked about with the budgeting.
Yeah, and then as we got older, they started to break it down in a more complicated manner.
Yeah.
And allowed us to see their budget, as we could actually understand it. When
Right.
it started, when we were 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's good. Get some things and some funds too. We're going to talk about that as well. And it's exciting when you go and kind of look and see how those things are growing. I like that.
One time that I saved up money because my mom was teaching me to just save, and I saved up money for a CD player. I really wanted a CD player,
Yeah.
and I went and bought it, and a few days later it was stolen.
Oh, man.
It's like one of those things, you save up really hard for a long time, and then
That's the store of treasures in heaven verse right there, right? Yeah.
And
You weren't expecting to last that, a little bit longer than that. Wasn't ready for thieves and rust to take over just that quick. But yeah.
That's what happened with my daughter. She saved up for her first car, and it was stolen 3 weeks after
Oh,
she
man.
got it. So
Don't
that
put
was
your
hard.
Don't put your trust in stuff, because stuff
There
disappears.
you go.
Yeah.
Somebody else may take it.
Yeah. And you can think of
I wish my parents taught me how to budget and stuff.
Yeah.
Caleb had to teach me, because my parents were just spend every time you get it. So
Yeah.
it's been hard.
mine were the same way.
Yeah.
I only got to learn about the saving part, and I was about it.
Yeah.
When I was 9, we opened up a savings account, but we had to get a loan because, our parents made us get a loan because we had animals that we bought our animals. We bought feed for our animals. We bought stuff for our animals. We showed our animals. Then we sold our animals to pay off the loan, and eventually that's how I bought my vehicle when I was in high school. But getting a loan and opening up an account when you're 9 years old and learning how to write a check and then balance a checkbook, it was important, but it was kind of a lot.
Obviously, probably a custodial account, so somebody opened it for you. But yes, it was for you and your purposes, and
Well,
each one of the siblings kind of had one, from what I understand. Right?
Well, we kind of just had one as a sibling, and then they were co-whatever on the account.
Yeah,
But it was under our, we were the...
Pretty unique scenario, though, I think, for Linda. We take out a loan as a 9-year-old. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, so they definitely learned some principles about money there and paying back, and but then also having your own money, and you essentially had, that was your job, right?
It was our job. We weren't allowed to have, we didn't have time to have jobs because our animals were our job. And so, like I said, when I bought my first truck, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I bought my own truck.
Cool. Any others? Yeah. Might think of some things as we go, so definitely chime in as we get started. I am definitely not the expert in this field. I've definitely read on some experts and listened to some podcasts of some experts. So I'm just kind of leading the conversation up here, and I'm going to provide some things that we've uncovered as parents. And like I said, I hope you to share out some of the things that you've learned, but also gonna give you some interesting perspectives that we can discuss on some things like maybe like allowance or savings and things like that. So, next question: how do you see the world acting towards raising money, money conscious kids, and how should it look different from a Christian parent perspective?
I think the world hates it. They want people to just stay in debt, continue to just take out loans, continue to just pay into the system.
Yeah, it's kind of a societal, like, we just kind of expect, like, hey, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to borrow money and you're gonna have to, and I think as parents, like, that happens, and then
Yeah.
kids see that and
Yeah.
trust that maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's just what
need
you
that new
do.
car. You need the car loan to go with it, and then once you pay it off, you need to get a new car.
And so how does that, how does the Bible contradict that, as we've kind of talked about in this
The
class?
debtor is slave to the lender.
They're just slave to the lender, yeah.
And make it look so pretty too, like the
Mhm.
advertisement constantly like sending you stuff on social media,
More than ever, we're just bombarded with advertisements. That you need this, and are kids exempt from that? No, there's just as many advertisements out there for kids and getting stuff, and it looks so pretty and nice, but they don't ever see them paying the bill for it, right? Or the object you bought getting stolen, or breaking, or etc. Right?
It's not just the car, it's the car insurance.
The car
And the
car
maintenance.
insurance and everything
Yeah.
comes along.
All the other
Maintenance.
stuff that goes with it.
That's where it's our job to come in and show them that, right? And that's where I wish my parents could help me more and understand that and everything that kind of the background of what goes into the payments, what goes into what's getting taken out of my check, and so as they're getting older, like, show them your check, show them things that are getting taken out, show them FICA stuff, show them retirement, etc. Talk to them about that. Obviously, at age appropriate conversations, but or things like how to change the oil in a car, how to do some renovations, things like that. We have our kids jump in. I had Oakley the other day to help me change the oil,
Nice.
and just find obviously there are certain tasks that she can help with. Hey, I need a rag real quick. Hey, can you give me the oil filter? It's that circular one, right? So yeah, getting them involved in those things. Good. Anything else there?
I don't think the world is raising money conscious kids at all.
Everything's free.
Yeah.
Do you think parents kind of rely on schools maybe to hope that they do that?
Schools don't do it.
Do you think that parents kind of, you think we're in that mindset that, well, I don't have time to kind of do this, maybe the school will jump in and they'll help there. Do you get that idea from parents that you talk to, or?
Brian, do you get the idea? You're a teacher. Do most parents that you talk to even know what you teach about?
Most don't. I mean, they have kind of maybe some general understandings, but it's more, this is what I remember growing up, and honestly, I think we did a better job back when I was a kid of teaching about finances. I mean, I have 8th graders that don't know all their coins and what they're worth. So, I mean, it's pretty scary, and honestly, there's nothing in the math curriculum. I'm a math teacher. There's nothing in the math curriculum that says we need to teach on finances. They can take a financial literacy class when they get to high school as an option. It's not even required. And even that's not a whole lot of personal finance. So there's not a whole lot out there. So there's a lot on our plates as parents to do that.
I was just gonna say, there's many times that I have cash when I go to a register, and kids do not know how to make change.
Your headlights look right.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then you see them take out their phone.
Yeah.
The computer doesn't work.
Or if they punch it in, they hit the wrong key and hit enter, and then they know they messed it up, and like, oh no, what am I gonna do now? All right. Yeah. So
I'm like, what
teaching them.
happened to?
That's a nice thing about having, like, at the schools, if you have a club and you're doing a concession stand, and we would try to teach them how to count back money and how to make change. If you have to use a calculator, that's fine, but count back the change correctly and things like that.
But if they don't know what,
They don't know what money is worth, yeah, then that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem for sure.
I think parents rely way too much on public education to parent and raise their kids, and we can't do that. You can't allow the public schools to do that, whether it's morals or money or whatever it is. Like, that's not their job. That's your job as a parent.
Yeah, always be talking about your kid to your kid. What are you learning? What are they saying? Etc. Obviously, we're supposed to, as teachers, kind of to keep it fairly what's the word?
Politically correct.
Politically correct, there you go, but not all teachers are the same, so, yes.
Well, you can teach their kids younger with the money by paying for stuff themselves, even if it's not necessarily their money, or if you gave them a little allowance or whatever, let them go up and pay for it, and then when they come back, okay, this is your change, start explaining it to them.
Exactly, and how excited are they to do that on there,
Yeah.
right? They're crazy nervous at first, right? They might be a little bit scared, you might have to, kind of walk behind them, but it's okay. But how excited are they to do that on their own and have those interactions, pay for something themselves? Do you think there's a kind of a sense of accomplishment there? Especially if they've earned that money, as opposed to maybe being given that money?
And they tend to value it more too.
Exactly, and then when that thing breaks, it's theirs, and if they broke it, then it hurts a little bit more than if it was just given to them, right? Yeah. What are some concepts that we've kind of talked about in this class that we hope to pass on to our children about money? A little review since we're we only got 2 classes.
Don't put your faith in it.
Don't put your faith in stuff.
Biggest thing.
Materialism. God will take care of us.
I think money can be a tool as well, you know what I mean? Like, it can be a way to help and help yourself too. But
Help yourself, but help others, right?
Yeah.
The importance of giving back, giving to others.
You have to work to get it.
Got to work to get it. Be good stewards with our money, right? I like what you said. The very first when you got your allowance right away. The first part went to the giving, right? That comes first. John.
I think it'd be a good idea to teach our kids that you don't need to buy the designer clothing. You can buy the thrift store stuff or Walmart, or
It'll still come to you either way. Yeah. Sure. Or maybe even if you really want that designer stuff, can you get it cheaper somewhere else? Can you go get it under Ross instead of Macy's or whatever? Shop around. Do your due diligence. What's the word say on this? We've heard this one a few times. This should almost be a memory verse at this point. The earth's the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Right? It's not our stuff. It's God's stuff. We can incorporate that with our kids and demonstrate that with them and how important it is. I mean, we can talk all day about what we want to do, but they're going to see what we're actually doing and how we value money and what our view is towards money. And if we're looking at money as God's, then it's a lot easier to give, right? And it's less or more difficult to use inappropriately. We kind of have those talks with our children. Train up a child in the way he should go, even when they're old, they will not depart from it. Or should be fairly familiar with that verse, Proverbs 22:6. I like the version that says train up a child, right? What does it take to train? Discipline, patience, keeping the word, structure.
training is like pruning a tree, you know what I mean? You gotta clip this and you gotta remove and.
Does that hurt the tree a little bit at first?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then becomes more abundant through it, right? We're about to start soccer at the school, and I keep telling the kids, like, hey, in soccer, you need to run. I don't know if you know this, but make sure you're running. So we did our last off-season workout this Friday. I'm like, hey, I told you, be running. Let's go a little for a little run. And some of those kids couldn't make it, and some of those kids were hurt and a little bit. But in the end, I mean, it's going to be pay off because we go play our first game and we can't run up and down the field. It's going to be a little embarrassing. So yeah, it hurts a little bit at first, and there might be some discipline involved. But in the end, it's going to pay off, right? So what does it take to train up a child to be a good steward with God's money? We kind of explored some of those concepts, but what does that look like practically?
I think what Caleb said, like showing them like this is your parents' budget and having them make their own little budget if they get allowance and stuff. I think that would help.
Yeah, we kind of expect the kids just like, hey, you see me do it, just kind of follow what I'm doing. Well, they don't know all the intricacies, right? Unless you show them, unless you tell them what the budget looks like. If you've got, like we talked about our summer trip, and explain like, hey, this is going to cost this much, and food costs this much, and if we go out to eat at Texas Roadhouse, it's going to cost this much, but hey, if we go home and eat, let's make some spaghetti, it may only cost this much. Keep that tripping. So now they've even caught us on it. Like, man, it's getting kind of busy. We can go grab some. Yeah, well, we need to save up for our summer trip. Wouldn't it be a lot cheaper to eat at home? It's like, Yeah, it would. We got practice to go to again.
That's
So-
what Ellen does with me too, like
Yeah.
we go to the grocery store, like I have her, you know, we go through a list and I do it with her, and then she'll be like, oh no, Mom, that's cheap, we gotta get that, or that's too expensive, we gotta get the cheap brand.
Yeah. But then at the same time, you have conversations on, well, if I get the cheap brand of this, is it really going to last as long if I get this? I mean, with food, maybe a little different, but, right? If I get the cheap brand of this, is it going to break in a month? Whereas if I save up, maybe I can get this for a little bit more, and you can pass it on to your kids, right? So you have some conversations to be had. Is it just me training my kids? I'm relying on some of you to help me with my kids. I'm not always around my kids, and my kids are in class, right? It takes a village to raise a kid, right? So grandparents, uncles, friends, family, church family, right? We're all kind of training our kids and training up in the ways that they should go, right? Does it stop when they turn 18?
No, it just begins.
It just begins. Right? I'm still learning stuff through this class. I'm having conversations with my parents. I'm learning from people. I'm learning from you guys some really important money concepts. So yeah, it's constantly learning about some of these things.
I think of that word train, I think of the word discipline. And so with kids, you know, this instant gratification in our society, you need to teach them discipline that you don't always get something right away. It may take time to save up for it, like you're talking about. And you need to be patient to get things. You don't get things right away all the time.
And there's maybe more gratification in that patience,
Yeah.
if you wait. Right? I could get this cheap thing from Dollar Tree, or I can get this really cool thing at Walmart. Right? But I might have to wait. Right? Yeah. The word says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it."
That should be Hebrews, not Proverbs.
Oh, yes.
Hebrews
I think
12.
I copied and pasted, yeah. Yeah, so discipline's not just something that we do, it's something that we let them experience as well, right? It's not just punishing them, but it also might be something that we have to kind of back up off and let them experience. And we'll talk a little bit about that coming up. Is it okay to be totally hands off and just let them learn from everything in the world? At the same time, do you want to be just always crack the whip?
Yeah, you gotta find that balance.
You gotta find that happy medium.
And with this scripture, you know, as I aged, I could really see this because, you know, my parents did talk to me about finances and how to pay off. Okay, you get a credit card, but you don't just pay the minimum and that type of thing. And as I got older and looking at my friends, I could see where they were in their struggle, and one of those, well, my parents were right type of thing. So.
Yeah.
And it kind of stuck with me. And
And your parents kind of tried to help guide you there, but they didn't do it all for you, right?
Right.
Same time, they were totally enabling. So we got to find a nice balance between enabling and kind of too legalistic, right? Kind of a happy medium there. Yeah, those kids that are tearing up the restaurants are probably too hands off, but we also don't want robots just walking around, right? Because what's going to happen when they aren't under your wing? Now it's a free for all, right? So we need to let them, guide them, help them, tell them, hey, you might want to think about this before you do so and so. But at the same time, hey, if you're going to do it, as long as it's not, life-threatening, it's not, overly demoralizing. Like they might have to learn from some of those mistakes, and then at the end you'd be like, yeah, this is kind of what I was talking to you about. Probably shouldn't wear sandals when you're riding a bike because your sandals got stuck in your spoke and you crashed, right? Good thing you listened and you were wearing your helmet. Things like that. So yeah. Any other thoughts there?
It is very painful though if you don't discipline. My mom was not a very hands-on mom at all. Like it almost felt like she didn't care sometimes. But
You want to be liked as a parent, right?
I see the way my brothers and sisters.
It's hard to be a disciplinarian sometimes, right? You want to be liked. You don't want to be the bad guy, but you're training them. You're training them for the future. One thing I heard in kind of researching this, somebody said It's not our job to raise well-behaved kids, but rather to raise successful adults. I can yell at them and all day and make them do what they're supposed to do, but in the end, when they go off, you've seen it, I'm sure. They go and run amok. We're training them for the future. We're letting them make some mistakes. We're letting them learn things from their own. We're going to talk about those things. We're not just going to be like, oh, you messed up again, haha. Daddy told you so. This is what I was talking about. Do you see what kind of happened? This might be a path that you might want to think about next time. Jonathan, you had your hand up?
Yeah, this verse is interesting because you look at it, you can see that pain can lead to peace. Good pain will bring goodness in your life, righteousness, and a peace within, that you are a well-developed person.
Yeah. I mean, you still have their best. You want the best for them still, right? You're not going to let them make fatal failures. You're going to guide them and advise them, but you're not just going to push them. Now, there's times you have to step in as a parent, right? If they decide they're not going to, I'm telling them to brush your teeth. You might want to brush your teeth. Haha, all your teeth fell out. No, I'm going to go make you brush your teeth. It's been 3 days, right? You haven't bathed. You go bathe. You're not doing your homework. Go get your homework done. You're not playing. There's going to be times you got to step in as a parent. But yeah, there's other times where you can back off and say, maybe that wasn't the wisest decision. Maybe you shouldn't have blown all your money on whatever. Yeah.
And this is also something that needs to be role modeled because, like you're saying, as far as, okay, we can't get this right now, but, later they may be able to get something bigger. But as a parent or as a provider, you also have to go through that painfulness for the entire family to be successful.
Yep. In Dave Ramsey's book that he wrote with his daughter, actually, it's really enough. Smart Money, Smart Kids. He talks about a story where they went to a carnival and they all had their money and they went and one of his daughters really wanted to do the carnival games and spent all their money on carnival. Now he told them, like, hey, you're probably not going to win here. There's some things that are rigged. But of course, kids are hard-headed. Couple hours, she blows all her money on the carnival games. Obviously, doesn't win the big prize that's sitting out there that looks so appealing. So while the other kids are riding rides and getting snacks and so on and so forth, that daughter the rest of the day kind of just had to watch. And it was a rough day for him. It was a rough day for the daughter. But it's something that obviously they remember 30 years later when they both wrote the book. It was a valuable experience. Still had conversations about, hey, I mentioned, hey, this might not be the wise idea. You might think through this. These carnival games tend to be rigged, but you got to let them make that. Maybe blow their savings or blow their earnings. A lot easier lesson when they're 14 than when they're 24. It's a lot easier to come back from that, right? So we got to look at that down the road. So what are some practical principles that we can do? To simplify the concept, Dave Ramsey says 4 things to look at. We need to teach kids how to work. We need to teach kids how to give. We need to teach kids how to save. And we need to teach kids how to spend. And eventually how to spend wisely. Right? Now we have some of those kids that they're just overly given. They want to give all their money away. Is that practical? Is that wise? No, I mean, very, very rarely do we see something about give everything, give all your possessions away, right? There's a couple instances, but no, because we have those instances of make sure you're storing up for yourself, like we talked about, right? Is it okay to spend? Yeah, God wants us to embrace the things that we have and find joy in the things that He's blessed us with, right? So we need to make sure that we're teaching them in each one of these areas. We're not spending all of our money. We're not saving all of our money, right? Go spend some. Learn how to spend money. Learn what's a good purchase. Learn how to shop around. So we need to teach them all these things, right? Any thoughts on that?
I find number 4 to be intriguing. I think that's probably the first time that concept has been shared.
We have to, our kids at this point, we have to encourage our older 2 to spend money, which is weird, but they've got plenty of savings, but they went through a period of learning, of spending and losing, and that wasn't a wise purchase. So now our 13-year-old is saving up for a car/plane,
Oh, wow.
Just found a neighborhood apparently where you can fly into on your own personalized airstrip and then pull into your garage with your
Yes.
down in Chandler. News to me. Yes. So he's got to earn a little bit to get there, but yeah, he's got dreams. But yeah, we got to encourage them. You know, they see something out of Walmart, like you got money, you can get. I don't know. You get $200. You can afford a peach ring. Okay? Like go buy something. You know, you worked hard on some of these things. Go spend a little bit. So it's important to teach them in each one of these elements, I think, and have them make mistakes and have them find, you know, what was a good purchase, what was a good thing to give to, what was maybe not. That there's sometimes bad giving, right? Teach them what might not have been the best or wisest thing to give to, or where could we give to something a little bit better, etc.
By the time he's old enough to get a license, they may have flying cars.
Yeah, they might get a two in one deal. Yeah.
I push up on the work, you know, I'll have her go and do lemonade stand, or I'll have her go and she'll work with her dad, or she'll, you know, sell some candy.
Yeah.
And, you know, she works really hard and finally saves up enough money to be able to get what she is desiring at the
Exactly.
time.
And then they're learning concepts through that work on, you know, I raised this on my own, I created my own business, and I was an entrepreneur, right? And we were looking to learn about the free market system. There's money out there to be made, right? Who's going to go get it, etc. Yeah. You're good? Yeah, we'll talk a little about that as well. The concept of allowance is kind of interesting. We've kind of moved away from the allowance model. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but something about giving a kind of a set amount to your kids to complete a task, right? I encourage you to maybe change the word if they've got tasks that they're doing, and you're giving money for those tasks. Words are kind of powerful. Would you agree? So if I make an allowance for you, it kind of means that you're deficit, right? You're lacking. You're not capable of to make up for something of your ability. So maybe change your wording on that. Change it to, you know, I love that you've got this work. Here's your payment for your work. Here's a commission for your work, right? Change up that wording maybe, and instead of I'm just giving you this. You know, you get a handout. I don't think that you're capable of doing anything. So something to think about. You got an allowance, but it sounds like you probably you did work, right? Yeah, you had chores,
took
etc.
all the chores from your brothers.
Yeah, I was constantly out doing chores and stuff to earn the money. It wasn't an actual allowance. Now that you say that, I never thought of that. But
So yeah, it wasn't me. That's like a Dave Ramsey thing again, and he's a pretty smart guy. So obviously it's going to be a little bit different at different age levels. So we're going to look at that. But I wanted to get this idea down that the world doesn't owe you a living, right? Because we see that too much in our world, as is. And again, there's money out there to be made. Our kids watch Ryan Trahan. I don't know if you've ever seen the what was the penny. I started with a penny. I'm going to make it across America, and so on and so forth. Raise $1 million with a penny and make it across America type thing. They watched that, and man, they were inspired. They went out the next 4th of July and were selling waters at the park, and I don't remember how much money. They made $80 or something, like selling waters during 4th of July. But they went, yeah. They asked to lend it, borrow our cooler. They went and purchased the water out of their own money, and everybody's getting ready for fireworks and getting pizzas and stuff. They were hauling the cooler around, selling waters and stuff. So encourage them when they have those ideas. Encourage them. Now, like I said, different ages. We're gonna talk about different things. 3 to 5-year-olds, we can still teach them stuff. They're a sponge at this level, right? They're taking they have all kinds of questions. So some things that you might want to think about. You don't always get what you want. That's a big one at this age, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. We mentioned that earlier. Be grateful for what you get. Have some conversations about, people are less fortunate than us. Show them that they'll probably see, or just around Phoenix, there's people less fortunate than us. Be grateful for what you get. Be grateful for the gifts that you get. We had to go through that with Oakland, and she didn't respond real well with getting gifts at Christmas time, and talk about, hey, people did a lot of work to go raise that money and go buy you a gift. They were being thoughtful. Like, maybe you weren't expecting it. Maybe you didn't appreciate it, but show appreciation for the thought and the work that they did to get that. And then when she goes and buys gifts, she has an idea of what that looks like on the other side. So teach them to be grateful for what they get. Small chores, just little simple things. Wiping off the counter. Washing dishes for a 3 to 5 year old. Pretty. That was gonna be my next level. But tidying up around the kitchen. She'll put the silverware away from the dishwasher, and Mama's got probably all kinds of things that Oakley does. I mean, of course, she's now things are organized in her room, right? She's already automatically doing that. She wants to help with the laundry. She wants to fold laundry. So I think she's a little bit OCD too. But be a blessing to others. That's kind of something that needs to be taught. We just kind of think that, hey, that's just do to others, right? But we got to teach that. Teach them to give back. Teach them to give at church. Teach them to give in the community. I don't remember what age can they go do the starving children? 5. Was that 5? Yeah. So I mean, already age 5, they can go do feed my starving children, right? Joy takes a group every once in a while of that if you're interested in that, and have them make small purchases and small mistakes. Have them go to the Dollar Tree and figure out what was a good purchase versus maybe not a good purchase. What was lasting? What broke right away? What did you really need, and all of a sudden you don't need it after a week, etc. Right? Thoughts on that? 3 to 5, those youngins. Any consider the tax. Now, there's something to kind of be said there too. Like, yeah, it's fun when they have a, I got $5 and maybe I'm gonna go shopping. I see a 5 there. I have 5, and then they go pay, and then they're disappointed because now it's $6.25. I'll show them some grace, and I'll pay the tax. But yeah, we can kind of have that conversation again. Maybe for the next level, but it's fun for them to see. I have that. I can trade that for this. What I got. Also important for them to see that that it's gain. I kind of skipped over this. Make sure you give that incentive instantly. If you give it a week later, they're not making that connect. That I work for this. Give them something where they can see. Give them. Have cash even just for this. Something where they can see that it's growing in their little piggy bank. Well, I really don't like piggy banks because you can't really see piggy bank. Some kind of clear bank or something that Oakley's got something that she can unlock. She's got they all have their own little code that they can open the bank and put things in, but they can see that it's growing. And when they use it, now it's gone, right? They can physically see that. I think it's important for them to see.
You and Teresa both mentioned your kids don't know coins at 8th graders. 3 to 5 year olds, that's a great time to teach them, hey, a penny's worth 1, a nickel's worth 5, and start introducing them to cash, which cash may not be existing whenever they're old. I mean, it'll always be around, but teaching them that young is important too.
And it's crazy how sweet and generous 3 to 5 year olds are too at that age. I mean, I hear kids all the time like Caleb, and we're on it. We need to support our radio station. And this kid wants to give all their money to Caleb, and they're so excited about it. Or they love buying gifts for others and dropping it off. Or encourage that, but also don't let them give all their money. I mean, it's a nice thing to encourage them to spend, and encourage them to save. Yes. Yeah.
And they also have piggy banks that calculates right away and shows you the amount of dollars.
Yeah, and they're not tremendously expensive these days. You can find the ones that look go and it'll kind of keep track of the amount, and you can teach them about numbers and stuff. Yeah, I think we got $10. Maybe we got for an electronic bank that they got their own passcode that opens, and they can keep their brothers out of their money and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of fun to have that. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have. We've seen that verse before. Teach contentment. I got to get going. Age-based models for 6 to 12 year olds. Some key principles, and really probably can break this up for 6 to 9 year olds, 10 to 12 year olds, but kind of group this together and we can get more advanced as we go. But we need to work for what we want, right? Everything's not just given to you. So kind of going back to that idea of allowance versus commission. And it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. Our kids work for extra video game time these days and things like that. But you did that extra chore, you did that extra job, you've earned it. So kind of we've done, we got into this model of, hey, you're an active member of the family. There's certain things that we expect you to do. We expect you to clean up after yourself. We expect you, our older ones, they do their laundry. They take care of themselves for the most part. But if you want to do an extra job, if you want to help out with some extra yard work, if you want to help daddy with the oil change, if you want to help, whatever, yeah, we can provide you some monetary funds. And there's different ways to do that. We did a baggie system for a while where we had our extra chores. We actually had the money right there, so they go do that chore and boom, they get those funds. And you can kind of do a schedule system where, hey, this week if you want to earn these extra jobs, these are your jobs for the week, and you do them to get it. Come Sunday though, you didn't do it, don't get paid, right? Teaching them some of those things. So there's many different ways to set that up, but if you want something, you work for it. But then again, there's some things that you're going to have to help mom and dad with around the house. And once you do that, days like this morning for us are real nice because I got to prepare for this class and prepare for singing, and mom's got to do kids connection. Oh man, we didn't start the cinnamon rolls this morning. Ethan on it. He just knows that he's an active member. He's helping. I'll put him in. I'll start the oven. I'll get him in. Good. He knows that we need some help. He sees that, and he's willing to jump in and do it because it's what an active member of the family does. So we want to train them on those things. Understand the difference between a family responsibility and extended chore. So we talked about that, and you can determine what's appropriate for each age level. What do we expect you to do at this age, and what would be extra? And even those younger kids, Oakley does extra jobs, and doesn't have to be anything crazy, but she might not do it right. It might be getting done better if I were to do it, and done faster if I do it. But you learn that, help her learn the value of a good work ethic, right? Organize a give, save, spend system. Talked about that, right? Envelopes. We got little Ziploc bins, right? And that they're labeled on them that they can do. But help them organize and make sure they give to each. Preferably to the give fund first. But talk about them. It's nice to have them see that save bin flow. I need a bigger save bin. My save bin's so full. And then when they get old enough, hey, we can go down to the bank and we can open yourself a savings account. We can watch that grow digitally and so on and so forth. So start saving for bigger purchases for the future, and still give them opportunities to learn. So they may want to spend $50 on a Lego, and that's hard to swallow sometimes, but they worked for that. They saved for that. They really want that. Now, what I would recommend is maybe doing you talk about a wait period. You want a small purchase, maybe wait 24 hours. You want a big purchase, give it a week, give it 2 weeks. If it's a huge purchase, maybe a month. Make sure you really want that before you blow $200 on this new video game system, right? Let's give it a couple weeks. Let's give it a month and see if maybe something else comes up. So imagine, it's crazy how quickly they change your minds on some things that they absolutely think they need, right? Work just doesn't build income; it also builds dignity. It builds a sense of accomplishment, right? That's what we want them to learn. It's not just all about the money, but about that work ethic that they're going to need. Thoughts? I'm going kind of fast, but things that came up.
One of the biggest things too that I teach Evelyn, the verse that says, if you don't work, you don't eat. So, one of the things that we do with Evelyn.
And now they come straight to us like, hey, can I sweep off the stairs to get 10 extra minutes video games? Hey, Mom, have you mopped in a while? Can I mop the kitchen? And it's nice when you don't have to go seek them out. They're just like automatically, hey, is it ready to do this yet? Oh no, we didn't give it a couple. We just did it yesterday. But you could go back in the car. And it's amazing once when they want something, like what they're willing to go do and to get it.
I was just gonna say, I like what you have there on number 5, that it builds skills and we can help each other out in our Christian family. If you've learned something that somebody else needs help with, don't expect that you're always gonna get paid for that, but use those skills that you've learned to benefit the kingdom, to help somebody else.
Yeah, when you go help an elder lady who can't do their yard work, you're getting more out of it than a payment. If you don't get a payment, you're going to get more out of it, and knowing that you help somebody than a payment, and they feel that. We've had those times where the kids we own something. It's good. Like I know that needs to be done. I'm good. So we're like, that's pretty cool. But then we go and get them something anyway. I really like that. Here's an ice cream. Good job. Now we've kind of double rewarded them. Right? I don't feel like you don't need to reward me for that. Later, I'm going to reward you. I really appreciate that. Let's go to the water park. I really appreciate all your work this week. It was a tough week. Thanks for helping with your little sister. So encourage, reward, etc. Anything else there? I have one bunch of notes here, but we've covered most of it. What's the word say? Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as a work for the Lord, not for human masters. Right? That's what kind of we're just talking about. There's more than just the monetary. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Get them out, get them doing, get them engaging, get them being an entrepreneur. Have them talk about, get excited about the funds that they have in an account, in a savings account. And we just, matter of fact, we showed the kids last night their 529 accounts, and it's funny. And they're like, why have that much? And why does Kason have more than me? Well, Kason's younger and he's in a more aggressive fund, so the funds are doing well. So yeah, it surpassed Easton. Easton, you're a little bit old. Like having those conversations, it's fun to have. The market could go down and Kason's might drop, but that's okay because he has more time before he gets to college. They're to go up. It's cool for them to explore those things and see those things, and have some of those conversations. What about teens? Well, teach them how to budget and balance. And you may be able to do this before they're truly a teen, but have them do more traditional budgeting, balancing stuff. Let them talk about like budgeting a checkbook, which was 9, right? You can still balance your earnings, maybe in different ways than a checkbook, but teach them how to balance what they're earning. Explore future career options, including education requirements, income, availability. Don't rely on your school to do that. They're bombarded with their kids, their students already being 2-3 grade levels behind and just trying to teach basic concepts. So just FYI. Explore career options with them. What's going to be available? What's going to be available in 10 years? Is the job going to be available, or what's going to need to be available? Can you work at it here? Do you want to stay in Arizona? Can you do that here? What kind of schooling do you need? What should we start looking at? How much is that going to cost? You can have those conversations, and it sounds scary to have those conversations, but it's a lot more scary to not know what you're getting into. So have some of those conversations.
One thing I cannot wrap my head around is the people that are like influencers and they make their living on that, like videos on that.
Yeah, it's amazing what kids can do with technology.
I do wonder if that's going to be around for 10 years. If, Facebook and are still
you almost have to get, it's hard, but you almost have to get kids on technology because you're using it in pretty much every area. So don't be afraid to get kids on technology and using technology, but also definitely monitor and supervise. And you might have to tinker with and learn some things yourself. But ask them, hey, what are you doing? Or like the 3D printing stuff. Like I used to run the 3D printing stuff with our kids. They've taken over around and just the other day they're like, hey, we showed how to make multicolored blah blah blah. I'm like, cool, how do you do that? Like, show me now. I think we mentioned them. They're doing a booth and selling a bunch of 3D prints. Like that's something that they wanted to do. That's something they aspired to. I'm going to encourage them. I'm going to make sure that they're safe with it. I don't want them to touch an extruder that's 400 degrees Celsius. Obviously, we're going to have to talk through some safety things and what's appropriate. Maybe Oakland doesn't do this part, but maybe she can do this part. But I encourage them to go and I encourage them to use technology responsibly. But it's amazing what they can do as kids with technology.
Our kids sometimes see material success in the world, and they kind of think that they're going to start out as a CEO of a company.
Exactly.
I started my 16th birthday at McDonald's. And I think we need to teach kids, you got to do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do.
Yeah, and we need to have conversations with how did we get where we're at? I don't know that we do that very well. Have we talked through the training that we've needed, the things that we've had to do, the education that we've had to receive, the things that we have, the jobs that we've had to go through, the backbreaking work that we've had to learn, right? I don't know that we do a great job of sharing that with them, and so they understand that, hey, we can afford this, but we couldn't always afford this. Back here, earning $15 an hour, $10 an hour, right? Just doing this work. Yeah, that's a good point. Have discussions pertaining to future expenses, financial opportunities, money traps. We talked about like showing them your payment stub, your paycheck, and see what's all taken out of that. Where is that going to? Why is it taken out? Have those conversations so they're not blindsided by their first summer job, right? Where did half my money go? Right. Research various ways to save, to get started, and practice monitoring his progress, whether it be any kind of growth accounts, 529s, mutual funds, doesn't have to be much, but it's fun to kind of talk about that and see things grow without. I didn't do anything. I just put something in an account. Yeah, we're letting other people use your money and work with your money and help your money grow. And sometimes it goes down, and sometimes it goes up. And we want to be wise in what accounts we're putting that in, and so on and so forth. So again, I can afford to put a few $100s here. Then them finding out 30, 40 years later that, man, I should have put $300, $400 here, and understand how that works. It's a sacrifice that I can afford to give and maybe lose. Practice a variety of decision-making tasks before adulthood while they're still with you. That way you can guide them, and you can talk them through those things. We talked about that before. But let them branch out. Let them try some things. Let them fail. Again, not fatally, but let them learn through those things. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Talk about that. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Ooh, ouch. We don't want that for our kids, right? We don't want them to not provide for their family. And sometimes we look at the flip side. Oh man, you got to provide for no. You have to provide for me. I'm your relative. No, that's not the moral here, right? Be a provider. Have a strong work ethic. That's what we're kind of trying to train. I've got another slide for us parents, because not all the kids. What are some principles we need? But we're going to hit that next time because we're out of time. So we're going to get into big purchases and talk about some principles for parents, what we can do. Appreciate your comments. Sorry about it, I had to go fast. Hopefully some of that stuff is good. Got some resources for you that I'll share next time as well. But there's definitely some good things out there. But appreciate your time, and like I said, hopefully you got something out of it. You got a whole week to think about some concepts that you can share out next week. Maybe some things that you've learned, some things that you've endured. One thing that I didn't go over that was in my notes is I have some thoughts on the idea of Santa and Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy. So that'll be a little hook. So I'll make you come back for that. Good? Awesome. You're free. Thank you.